Bitcoin's about to reach $160,000. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. And right away, we don't know that. It's mainly just to see the analytics and see if I post a video just on Bitcoin, if you guys will see it, stick around, or if we'll have new people become members or whatever it may be. 50% of everything I earn, whether memberships, merch, or donations, 50% goes to save animals' lives. The other 50% goes to get me new technology to keep you guys updated. But let's kind of go more in depth on what Bitcoin is doing. A lot of people are freaking out because we have this one minor pullback. The main thing you'd want to be looking at is the RSI, because we were completely overbought when we reached this point around 97,000. It was way overbought. It needed to retrace, which is this form right here that is happening, to come back down towards the 50 on the RSI. That's probably the healthiest thing that can be happening for Bitcoin right now. If we had a continuation, we'd be a little bit more worried about the greed factor and a bunch of people selling off as soon as we broke over the 200 EMA, causing a further, more rapid decrease in price. This, what is happening right now, is nothing to be worried about. With the market manipulation that happened on October 10th, this was supposed to be pretty much when altcoin season kicked off. So October until January, we're about a whole quarter of waiting just because of that market manipulation. However, we did break the red downward trend line, which we have here. And with that trend line being broken, we saw that it held support, started building higher lows, and that has been our recent support. It's nothing too stable. There's still the possibility for this to come back down. As long as it is closing above 86,000, we should be set, even if it pulls underneath that black upward trend line. And that being pushed to 86,000 would push the RSI way to the oversold area, which means more than likely we would start picking up and start moving back towards the 50, giving us a nice consolidation for Bitcoin, which is ideally what we want to see. So if we do see something similar to this, where we pull way down, we'd probably more than likely pull back up, get a little resistance on that black trend line, find it as support, and work our way up towards the 618 on the Fibonacci retracement. Keeping in mind the 200 EMA would be like right here. So that's kind of our resistance as well. So once we can get over 97,000, which we've had resistance before, and support back here in November of 2025, once that is broken, we can expect the easy push up to around 108 to 110,000 for Bitcoin. Keeping in mind, we typically have liquidity sweeps right before takeoff. So like this, for example, this was crossing this red downward trend line right here. This was crossed, and we had it test as support, and then we had a major push up. But in our current look for Bitcoin, we had our cross of the downward trend line, slow consolidation, but pushing upwards slowly, which is typically nice to see before takeoff. This one, when we crossed over the downward trend line, it was also over that 200 EMA. That's the main thing to keep in mind there. RSI was very healthy, holding above the yellow as support. But the main thing is the 200 EMA. Once that got crossed, then we had the major push up. So we did have this major pullback, but that was underneath the downward trend line. So this may or may not happen. We really just have to see what is in store for Bitcoin. The possibility of this pushing all the way down to 73,000 is less and less unlikely, because that would be going all the way down here, running way away from the 200 EMA, and it would be testing this red trend line as support if it did, which would still be about $3,000 or $5,000 over the fair value gap, where MicroStrategy's dollar cost average of Bitcoin is within this area. I don't think we're going to head that low. I think we may still potentially get that nice little sweep downwards, which will be detrimental for the altcoins, but it's temporary. So don't panic sell. For the people who sold XCN and XRP, I'm sorry, you guys are going to miss the train if you don't decide to get back in. But by the time I post this, we could see Bitcoin, this is in the daily, easily pull back up over this black downward trend line, consolidate and start working upwards. But if that does not happen and we get a close below this previous low, we could expect a little bit further continuation downwards for a few days before ultimately tapping out, bottoming out, and doing the reversal, pushing back up. And once we make it over that 200 EMA, which is more than likely going to be around $97,000 to $100,000, we can expect a similar move to like what we've seen in the past, being this move right here. If it'll let me draw it right here. It's not letting me draw it. This move. That is essentially what we are looking for once we cross over the 200 EMA. And with that, you see that we had the push up, started building higher lows right here, held it as support on the CM Guppy, continuation upward, held higher lows right here, and then had that last little tap out to the top. Could we expect 160K? Yes, that is a possibility to hit 160K. Could we go beyond 160K? Yes, that is also a possibility. Bitcoin has a tendency to surprise everybody with what it can do. Let's wait it out. Let's see what happens in these next few days. If not, keep an eye on this candle, and you may be looking for an entry if you have not entered. Keeping in mind, altcoin season will give you a better ROI than just buying Bitcoin, but Bitcoin dollar cost average is a great key to utilize. So when you guys have the opportunity, always check out Bitcoin, because that is the reason you will see major dips in the market. Like XCN, for example, had a major pullback, but it's nothing to be worried about. It's just a health check. When we get the health check, then we start seeing some movement. We're essentially just waiting to see what Bitcoin will do. Hopefully that's informative. Hopefully I got a couple of you new viewers, subscribers, and members. And good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you guys on the next one.